there's people already in the chat.
Oh, wow.
Hey, we're live, Emily
Oh,
Francis.
yay.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the mid-conference keynote with Emily Francis.
Hi. Hello, everybody.
We're so thrilled to have you. I'm Carol Salva. I'm one of the co-founders, but I'd really prefer for Emily to just tell us a little bit about yourself. We have limited time, so tell us what you're doing now, and then we'll get into your story.
Absolutely. Well, right now I am an ESL teacher here in Concord, North Carolina. I just finished my 6th complete year as a teacher of English as a second language. I was a teacher assistant for 8 years, so I've been in a classroom for quite a few years. I am passionate. I love working with ELLs, and I also love working with their families. That's, to me, core.
That's so obvious. You tweet so much beautiful stuff about your families and all of the things that you do. And so a lot of people know right now about your success. We've tried to let people know. I've done blog posts about you, Fab 5 teacher for the teaching channel. Emily, you were just on the Ellen show.
Woo!
You're arguably one of the most influential ESL teachers in the field right now.
Wow.
And yeah, no question. And some of that is a direct result of your story. So could you recap for anybody who might be new to it, that story that you think is meaningful for teachers of English learners to know?
Yes, so I am from Guatemala. I was born in Guatemala, lived there 15 years, but at the age of 13, my mother decided to come to the US. She was and still is a single mom for 5 kids. And with a 3rd grade level education, there was just not too much that she could do to support her 5 kids. So at the age of 13, my mother decided for us to stay in Guatemala and her coming here to the US to provide a little more financial support. We were able to build a little shack with the money she sent in, and we lived there with my 4 siblings. My little brother was 3 years old. I became mom at the age of 13. It was great because we had enough money for food, for clothing, for shelter, but we were missing mom. So that family separation, especially with the issue that is going on right now, it hurts. Not being able to be close to your mother and not knowing even where she is or how far she is, it's just heartbreaking.
I can't
So
even imagine it. I can't. And we hear these stories from our English learners every day. But when it happens to you, I think you're very good at that, at expressing that you remember how some of these things actually felt.
Yes, it was just, it's hard. It hurts. But at the same time, there was that excitement that mom was able to provide for us because, in Guatemala, we used to be able to sell on the markets, and that's how we made our financial support for the family. So long story short, I missed a lot of school days and years because I was having to help my mom sell in the markets, and I was also having to stay home with the siblings. So I was 15 years old when I finally completed my 6th year. So, coming to the US at the age of 15 years old, having that life that interrupted education hurt me because I had missed so many years of school. But so at the age of 15, that's when my mother decided to bring us to the US. We came here through the help of smugglers. So I can identify with some of my students, their parents, because I lived it. I know what it is to be 2 months out in the middle of nowhere, to be able to come to a new life. You have refugees whose grass is burning under their feet, so trying to run away from their struggle to a new country. We were not having that battle in my country, but we were running away and finding a new opportunity. And I was excited. It was hard being away from family, but it was just that excitement that we were coming to the United States. Wow.
Right. And here's the thing that was so meaningful. I know we haven't mentioned this, and this is super important, and I'll put it in the chat notes. Your story that you're explaining right now, you have in a blog post that is a perfect length, really, for any class. You can go through there and do main idea, author's purpose. You can do so much. But it's a great length to chunk and stop and reflect, and chunk and stop and reflect. And so you do a beautiful job of helping us all build empathy for why people would risk so much
Thank you.
for a better life.
Thank you.
So
I
thank you for
I
writing
have
that.
you and Tom to thank, because I didn't think that was important for me to share. A year or so ago is when you and Tom kind of gave me that little push. Hey, we know you have a story. We know you have something to give. And that's when I started writing that blog post, and I shared it with you and Tom before I shared it with the world. And you guys gave me the green light to share.
I was like, are you kidding me?
My goodness. Thank you for giving me that little push. So you guys are my Edo heroes.
Well, I appreciate it, but I did cut you off. You were saying how I mean, thank you. You're a huge hero to all of us and everybody in the PLN. So many people are tuned in right now. Everybody's contributing in different ways. So it's an honor to spotlight some people who are really contributing to a different kind of mindset.
Absolutely.
For teachers right now. So you were telling the story about how you guys took the risk to have someone get you into a place where you could be safe, and at 13, 14, 15, when you finally got here, would be a better life.
Yes. And something important to realize too, when we're kids, our parents decide that for us. It wasn't like I said, well, we do have kids that do come, right? Unaccompanied minors that decide to come. But my mother made that decision for me. So I made it to the US. I was 15 years old. Because of my age, I was placed straight into high school. So I skipped all those middle school crazy years.
Wow.
So, I stand in front of Martin Van Buren High School in Queens, New York. And just looking at that huge building, I was just amazed to say, I'm going to go to that school. To me, back in Guatemala, that would have been like a huge college. And just to think that I was going to have to go to school, there was no question. So I was excited. I was scared. You have this culture shock, this language shock, because you're in a new country. But at the same time, I was excited because I knew it was a new opportunity. So that balance right there helped me to start learning English, to start getting those credits for be able to go to college. I really wanted to be a teacher. Something that I always had in my heart was like, I just felt like I was a teacher. I wanted to teach, and I wanted to have the little cap and gown and be able to walk across the stage.
Yeah.
I took advantage. Like, the US has so many opportunities for us to take the education key and be successful. So I was in AM school. I was throughout school. I had PM school. I had summer school. I even signed up for a local college ESL courses. And I was able to place out of ESL a year and a half into the school. So my junior year, my senior year, it was all about taking courses to be able to get that diploma that I knew I needed to be able to go to college. And I was so looking forward to that. I was excited. The way I learned English was just so completely different than the way I teach it today.
Right.
I was with a textbook. I like chicken. I like broccoli. And those were the sentences that
not authentic and learning about a language. Yeah.
No, there was no interaction. I felt dumb because I couldn't interact with my friends. I couldn't use my Spanish. Like, I knew how to read. I knew how to write. I knew how to do critical thinking in my language, but I was never given that opportunity, So when I noticed that I didn't have that opportunity to show what I knew how to do, I had to put my Spanish aside and realize, hey, I don't need my Spanish. I don't need to learn this language anymore, because all they want me to do is learn English. So I learned it, and I was able to take economics and history and social studies and all those courses that I needed. But I was forgetting my language and my culture.
Oh my goodness. And we know now, I mean,
Big
of course,
mistake.
you knew that somewhere in your heart, but as educators, that is a huge thing in our field right now, is the cultural responsiveness and the affective side of the student.
Yes.
So thank you for that. There are so many people blowing up our chat. I just want to honor.
You. Oh my goodness. Thank you, guys.
I just want to honor everyone, from Sarah Otto to Jana Echeverria is watching.
Oh,
Jeffrey
nice.
Robinson.
Oh, what an honor.
Did you ever think one day we'd be saying Jana Echeverria would be watching
And Emily?
this?
Oh my gosh, when I saw that picture, I was humbled. Honest to goodness, when I started taking ESL courses, and thank you to the guidance counselor at the university, because he's the one that talked to me about teaching English as a second language. And he that's when I started reading about Echeverria and
Right.
all this language acquisition through Virginia Collier. And it just opened my mind to so many new perspectives to learn English as a second language.
Yeah, I appreciate it so
Yes.
much. I appreciate everybody watching so much and everybody out there is contributing so much to the field.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
Emily, we would love to know, you've gotten to the point where you are excited. Some of our kids are, and some of our kids aren't when they arrive, and they all come
Yeah.
from different ways. Your
Yes.
story, though, underscores the fact that an English learner can come in with limited education or missing education and can learn
Oh,
and can learn in the
absolutely.
target language. And if we
Yes.
put the right supports in place,
Yes.
anything is possible.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's in our hands to provide those platforms, to provide those opportunities as teachers. We have the knowledge, we have the tools, we have the resources. So let's use them to be able to empower kids that have that gap that is ultimately being able to close.
So I agree completely. I want you, if you could tell me, because you talk about how it was different and the way we were educated back then before we had all this research, PSYOP, and
Yes.
shelter instruction. Now it's different, and you do it very differently. What are your top things? We've kind of hit on some of them. What are your
Yes.
top things that teachers really need to keep in mind for anybody, anything from a SIFE student that knows no English to a long-term English learner?
Mhm.
What would you say? What would you say to teachers out there right now?
First things first, tap into students' potential. When I first started as an ELL here in the United States, I came to the United States with assets. I knew how to speak, I knew how to communicate, I knew how to do presentations. But my teachers were not able to tap into the potential that I have. I dropped out of high school because I was not able to obtain or pass the American history test. So I became a failure, and not being able to see the potential within me, not being able to bring up what I can do, just tore me up.
Yeah.
So today, what I do, and the very first thing that I will say to educators out there, look at your ELLs beyond numbers, beyond letters of reading levels. What can they do? What is the potential within them? What passion do they have? What is it that they want to be? It's not about a dream. It's about the passion within them.
Right.
So number one is that tap into that potential. What can they do? And highlight it, put up in a platform. We started doing a Spanish spelling bee in our school because my ELLs were not able to be in the English spelling bee. But guess what? I ended up with like 30 ELLs wanting to be part of the Spanish spelling bee because that's their potential.
I know. I
So
saw that
that
this year in
that
Waxahachie
that
ISD.
itself.
Deanna she's in our PLN, and Deanna Armstrong, and she was so passionate about getting something like that off the ground because everyone needs to be honored for what they bring.
Exactly.
Even just having a Spanish spelling bee honors all kids that speak
Yes.
Spanish and write
Yes.
and read in
Yes.
Spanish.
Yes.
So I just think that's fantastic.
Yes. And my next thing and big thing, which I think is core, is family engagement. Every parent can be part of a family and after school event. Not everybody is engaged. In order for our families to be engaged, you have to find out what is it that they need. So when we provide families what they need, you're going to get that engagement from our families. So we started our school, started creating those relationships with our parents because our parents have the knowledge that they have from their cultures. And it's not wrong. Whichever way a parent chooses to raise and educate their kid is an asset. It's not for them to change it. You don't come to this country and say, because you're here, you're going to change that. You're going to do it my way.
Oh my goodness. I
No.
remember the first time someone stopped me and pointed out, an instructional coach pointed out that I was saying to the kids, well, we don't say it that way. And I didn't even realize I didn't even realize what that does. we don't say it that way. In this classroom, we have an academic register and so we're learning to speak this way because we're mathematicians. But you can say it with however you want to say it. That's your culture with your family. We've all changed our, just it's how we say things and what we honor and what we value. I think that really starts changing our mindset about how we speak to kids, just how we speak to people.
It's acceptance. It's being able to open the door to families and say, come in as you are and who you are. You know, when parents feel that acceptance, that you're going to take that what they are and who they are, it's valuable. Oh gosh, they're going to engage. They're going to be there for every curriculum night. They're going to be there for everything. And they're going to be there at home to support their kids. And it may not look like the US way to support their kids, but it's going to be an engagement that is going to support their kids. And the reason I have this as a core is because my mother here, I was not read a book. She never sat down with me to read a book, but we sat down to talk about stories. You know, we heard stories about grandmothers and grandfathers and stories, folklore stories from Guatemala. Right. You know, those were the kind of education that I had from my mom. I knew how to iron. I knew how to cook. I knew how to take care of my siblings. That's the education and the value assets that my family gives me. Who are we to tell our parents that that's wrong? No.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everyone has background. Everyone has background and they have a perspective I don't have.
Exactly.
So I know we have to use the word tolerance because it's an education word that, you know, we have to use, but it's more appreciation than tolerance.
Embracing.
Embracing, celebrating. You know, Shaylee Santiago is going to do the Boosting Achievement chat this week, and it's all about asset based.
Oh, yes, I'm all for that.
Yeah. So those are two big things that you would give us to take away.
Oh, yes. Make sure you tap into those potentials, that passion that your students have. What is it? Create those relationships based on what they are passionate about, not what we're passionate about. And then family engagement, you know, that's just so important.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
Well, Emily, we have to make sure that everyone knows, not just, I mean, your passion is over the top, and I know we have a little bit more time and I want to talk to you, but in the middle of this, I want to make sure and let people know, because people will watch this video. This video is going to go viral. This video is going to be all over the world, I guarantee you. Here in the middle, let's make sure that people know how to find you. I tried to put it up here.
I see it right
there. What is your Twitter handle? Tell us about your blog. Tell us about tell us about the Ellen Show. I heard from a little birdie that you are going to be the keynote speaker in North Carolina at Carolina TESOL.
I am. Yes, oh my goodness, it's Growing Success for ELLs. I am the opening keynotes. I am like the first one. I'm excited about that. When she sent me a message about that, I was like, what? Me? An opening keynote?
Yes, ma'am.
Listen,
absolutely.
It's so amazing. So yes, I'll be there August 7th. I think it's in Greensboro. So if you look up North Carolina, Growing ELLs.
We'll make sure and put that. We'll make sure, because I'll go back in this YouTube and put links, obviously, to where people can find you.
Yes.
Did you start? tell us real quick your Twitter handle, because some people might just be listening and not watching.
Right. Okay. So the Twitter handle is @EmilyFranESL. @EmilyFranESL.
So before you even told your story, and I put that already in the chat, the link, you were already a wicked member of our PLN.
I was lurking. I was following everyone.
You were sharing quite a bit. And that's one of the reasons that I would strongly suggest to everyone that they follow you, because you share so much, not just of your story and what you're doing, but what everybody else is doing.
Yes.
And you're in every chat that I go check on.
Oh my God, I'm just crazy. It's just a Twitter junkie. It's okay, but it's good stuff though. It's work. I am passionate about what I do. It's my hobby. You know, some people like to go and hike and boat and fish, and great. I'm Twitter fan.
That's right. And we can benefit from that. We can benefit from your obsession, which is fine, which is great. It's great. You know, I know you were teaching elementary this year. I was teaching middle school and then high school this year. And I talked to a lot of other high school teachers too, that your story We start with it at the beginning of the year. It's a fantastic thing for kids to track the print, stop, talk in your native language.
Yeah.
And then we do a compare and contrast. How are we like, and some of them, it's the first time they've ever seen a Venn diagram, but they're so engaged. It's compelling.
Wow.
It's like Stephen
That
Krashen
compelling. I
says,
love that. Yes.
it's beyond high interest. It's
Mhm.
compelling your story. So I have everybody in it. And then we sprinkle Emily Francis throughout our year. And so we appreciate that you Skype with us, with our class. I see you're Skyping with classes all across.
Yes, empowering ELLs, just let them know what I went through. And yeah, there's a way to get out of that feeling that I cannot do this.
Right.
Yes, you can. Yes.
And some kids won't. What would you say to that? I know we just recently put out two podcasts you and I did about what happens when our kids who maybe are missing formal education or are just brand new to the language, they can absolutely pass our assessments.
Right.
If they have literacy, we have that happen all the time.
Yeah.
But the reality is sometimes they don't, and we can honor the fact that they may need more time.
Yes.
Of course they are going to need more time, but the way the student feels.
I know.
Say to teachers about how you can support your students if they are not successful the first attempts at those standardized assessments and things.
Don't let go and don't fail them. Don't let go and do not fail them. I am sorry to say, but Martin Van Buren High School failed me. There were so many things they could have done to say, hey, you're not done. Here are the opportunities, but you've got to present them. They're teenagers, close-minded. Is our job as adults, as teachers, as educators to bring that mindset and provide those opportunities. But it's going to happen. Students they're going to fail, and as adults, we do that too. We fail, but we have to get up. They just have to have that mindset that it doesn't end there. If I get a level that I didn't like, if I get a grade that I didn't like, if I fail the test, just do it again. Just do it again and again.
That's what I love. When you Skyped with my class, we taped that Skype, we included it in a podcast, and in reflection, it was one of the most powerful things. And the kids said that too, that we see grit narratives and we have to be careful about those, because when kids are not successful, then we don't want to put that on the kid, just be more gritty. So we need to change. We need to support students. And then you told them, if you fail, like you told them, hey, I know what it feels like. It's devastating.
Yes.
It's enough. I mean, it's enough to walk away. But if you fail, you just get back up. And if you already gave up a long time ago,
exactly.
you can still get
back now. Yes, like your students told me, why did you give up? Why did you, when you found out you didn't pass the test, why did you give up? That was that close-minded that I had as a 17-year-old. I gave up, but it's okay. Years later, I went and knocked on the door at a community college, and I went on for my GED. So if failure does happen, it's going to happen. It's going to hurt. We're going to drag for a little bit, and then just go find a way to get up and just knock on doors until that door opens up. ELLs, we always struggle. I think we're going to struggle the rest of our life. I'm still learning language. I'm still bettering myself. So
we all are. We're all learning something.
Yes.
And the things that our language learners are learning, they could teach me some things that I would like to learn, of course. Jana Echeverria just put in the chat, that's one of her takeaways, is that we can't just expect that it's 5 to 7 years for a student to work at grade level. Because we know the research. No one's disputing the research.
Exactly.
It has taken the average English learner 5 to 7 years to become proficient to work at grade level. But wouldn't that be like, okay, without the supports?
There you go.
So between now and then, today, I work with newcomers, you work with newcomers. They can be at grade level today if we take the kind of things that Jana, that SIOP, that sheltered instruction show us to make our content comprehensible.
Exactly.
And to help kids develop academic language and to help them feel accepted.
Absolutely.
And some of that is using some native language, and all of those things that we're all trying to put in our tool belt. They can all participate today. And there's different subject areas. I know that they need to have a background knowledge, but help them, include them, and you will be surprised at what they can do.
And it's also cultural awareness for monolingual English speakers too. I was in Germany last summer, and it's amazing how many languages these kids in elementary and high schools are speaking in the classroom. So it's good when a student is given the opportunity to use his or her native language and bring those assets, and to
Right?
flourish in a classroom. A monolingual English speaker will be like, okay, maybe being a bilingual is a good thing, because there's
I'm
such a
sorry. Go ahead.
closed mind about with monolinguism. It's just such we need to grow that. We need to just expand that.
Yeah. And for my child and for your child and for anybody watching, what do you want for your child? Bilingual or not?
Oh, bilingual.
I know. And then even if they're not going to be bilingual, even if they're just sitting in a classroom, don't you want that child to have opportunities to speak, to think, to
Yes.
be supported? None of them are walking around talking like mathematicians. I'm not. You're not. So why wouldn't we make a culture of collaboration, a culture of conversation
Exactly.
in our classrooms?
Yeah.
I think if we do that and we meet kids where they are and celebrate what they bring, how many Emily Francises would we have in the world? How
Wow.
many?
Yes. Yes. I can't remember the exact quote right now, but someone tweeted last week a quote that success, it wasn't what you are doing, but what your students are doing and becoming.
Oh, that's good.
I was like, oh, that is going to be my quote for the next school year. It's not about what I do and my success. It's about what are they becoming? What are they doing? What if
The
I
long game too,
Yes,
not what they're
yes.
coming by May 17th when we take the test. So many more of them will be
Oh,
successful
exactly.
at May 17th or whatever that date is. If you're looking at the long game,
Yeah.
looking at who are they becoming?
Yes. And
So,
what difference are they going to make? It's
yeah.
not like going to the moon. It's who can I change? What can I change in this world? And that difference can be done right now.
Absolutely. Emily, we can't thank you enough. I can't get enough Emily Francis in my life. We have to go. It's
Yes,
8:27
I'm
and the next
excited.
presenter, I'm sorry, in different times and different time zones, but the pre-recorded sessions are about to start. So
Okay.
just a huge thank you from me and Time to you and to everybody who's watching this now or in the future. Thank you,
Yes.
Emily.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Ton, for this opportunity for us to grow. It's going to be like an all day thing watching everybody else's video. I can't wait. So thank you for collaborating with VirtuEL18.
Thank you. Okay. We'll see you over on Twitter.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.